Peace, 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 family. I got something to lay on the table. Baron Pierre Bernard Millius. Really interesting. Um, I had trouble finding it because uh, it said that, I couldn't get a picture of him. I couldn't get information of him. Every time I started to look up what this was, who this was named after or whatever, attributed to, I kept getting this flower. Okay. So this is more of an analysis about the flower that is attributed to this man here, which was a French Navy commander in, what is that, the Isle of Reunion over in Madagascar. Maybe some of you guys remember uh, when I did a post on Queen Ranavalava, I think that was her name, and she was one of the last queens of Madagascar. If I remember correctly from the story, uh, aside from how it moved around and before the French came in there, um, she was attributed with uh, trial by ordeal. Trial by ordeal. And what that was these Christians were trying to move into that territory and she wasn't having it. Okay. Eventually they took over, other people took over, and Christians were allowed to come in there. Hence the Isle of Reunion, the Marquis de Bourbon, and all that other stuff that comes into play. And apparently, this French commander, Navy commander, now I know he didn't go out there and find the flowers. I know his crew went out there more than likely and found the flower, and then brought it back because they were collecting specimens on the east side of Madagascar. Now, what's interesting about Madagascar, just for a little bit of history, is that it was a major thoroughfare because you have like a canal that goes through there close to the African side, and they say the people of Madagascar are not African, okay? But there's like a little canal that goes close to Africa on the west side, and then there's the east shoreline. They were fighting for this area because you know they was trying to get to Asia and New Spice Route and all this other stuff because of what other folks had locked up, as far as business and travel was concerned. And so they was trying to get this island, and that's pretty much why we can count where the where Queen uh, Ranavalava and her daughter and niece and all of that lost power, okay? Because they were trying to get that area for trade, basically coming out of India and all those other places over there, Indonesia, all those places over there. But she, Ranavalava, kept was keeping the Christians out. She did not want Christianity in her area, and she did trial by ordeal. Now, for those of us who don't know what trial by ordeal is, that's basically when they make you drink a poison. And it's in the biblical text. So it's really ironic that when they talk about that in the biblical text, people in our circles never talk about who really did it, okay, in modern times, more modern times. But anyway, Baron Pierre Bernard Millius, and I really want to call him Milli Vanilli on this at this point, but he named this flower the crown of thorns. Now hold that for a minute because I'm gonna tell y'all why this is relevant. It wasn't something I just basically thought of. Something happened on yesterday where we started talking about the crown of thorns, starfish, and of course, Jesus and his crown of thorns. But hold on, Nabi gonna do what Nabi does when Nabi do what she do, okay? So, but this crown of thorns flower was named after him. Now, the flower is called Euphorbia millis or millie. Euphorbia millie. Okay, millie probably after uh, Baron Millius. Okay, but that first part of that name kind of struck me because it was like euphoria, euphorbia, euphoria. Keep that in mind. Euphoria. Okay, euphoria. It's a good feeling, right? You got this feeling of euphoria. Why did they attribute that to that particular flower? We're going to consider this, and we're going to consider it. I think I got 3 points to consider it from, and all of them ain't going to be good, and then we're going to do some other stuff if I got time to do that, okay? So, euphoria, keep that in mind, euphoria. I thought that was interesting in contrast to the crown of the crown of thorns starfish. Now, the crown of thorns starfish was a starfish that attacked the coral reef down in the islands. And I'm not sure which island because I'm not well versed on that. It's just the islands, the adjoining islands. But it was produced by the overproduction of sugar. Now watch this. Y'all know how they talk about that when you came to the slave trade, that all, the sharks, their travel pattern changed because of the dead bodies and the slave trade and all this stuff. Okay, yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay, so the same thing is happening with the starfish because of the overproduction of sugar. It's causing this starfish to breed, to become an invasive species in that area. Okay. Now on the back end tip of that, I'm gonna say this because it ain't gonna be a major point, but some things around here just a little too sweet in certain circles. Okay. So you get this mentality that comes up. All right, we're gonna set that on the table. So that's two. Crown of thorns, starfish. Then we have the third one, and I'm gonna go back to this flower in a minute. Then we have the third one, the most well-known one would be the crown of thorns that they used for Jesus. Now, in that story, in that narrative, it was the first place he was pierced. Okay? Well, they might have beat him first and then sent him in there. I can't remember. I don't remember that part. But the crown of thorns was placed on his head when he was being interviewed, if you would, interrogated, if you would, by, what is it? Herod, Pontius Pilate, somebody, okay? And they put that on his head and it pierced his head. Now, I got to bring in Master Fundi Fee when she was saying that it was nature that pierced him. So the people who put it on his head, as far as the narrative goes, and hopefully you guys will be able to pick up on this other part, that it's a certain group of people out here that basically if they lock you in a building and you suffocate, they didn't kill you, but the lack of air, the building killed you because it didn't provide air. So they try to say they got clean hands. So the same thing is true here, that when Fundi mentioned that it was nature, she was alluding to a particular set of people who will say that they have clean hands because it was something else that harmed you. Okay? And I'm going to entertain that. Now, it was the crown of thorns that pierced his head. All right? We're going to get to the flower in a minute. Now, here's the thing. Y'all got to go listen to Master P's post. It was a good post on yesterday, okay? But we made mention that it may have pierced his head. I'm going to say it this way. It may have pierced his head, but it never damaged his skull. Therefore, it never damaged his brain. It's a narrative, y'all. It's a narrative. So we got the crown of thorns flower out of Madagascar or the Isle of Reunion. We have the crown of thorns starfish in the islands. And then we got the most famous story of the crown of thorns in Jerusalem, Golgotha, in the Hall of Justice, Pontius Pilate, Jerusalem, all that stuff. All right. So you got those three stories. Interesting that it's a three, right? Okay, y'all got to go listen to Master Fundi's post about soul, soul, and soul. Yeah, that puts this together. So this is kind of for the people who already know, who might slide through here. And I know more people know than not because I caught somebody talking about the Mansa Ipi in Canada. Okay, so I know that person was listening or either somebody shared some information. So more people are listening than I think than show up around here. But anyway, so here's the deal. So I'm thinking about these things, and I don't want to tell too much of Fundi's post because it was a good post. I'm gonna try to stick with some of my stuff in relationship. Okay, so you got this. Let's go back to the flower. So if you were to pull up Euphorbia millis, aka Crown of Thorns Crown of Thorns flower that was named after Baron Pierre Bernard Millius, you will see an interesting pattern there. Interesting pattern. It is 2 to 3 leaves that seem to unfold in what I would call a type of Fibonacci sequence. Okay. One flower, I think I saw 3 petals, and another one I saw 2. When I saw the 2 petals, it looked just like yin and yang, the unfolding, the spiraling of yin and yang. And I want y'all to keep that in mind because Madagascar is east. They were on the east coast. They were on the east coast of Madagascar, facing the east. Okay, Asian. Never mind, y'all get it later. Okay. So it has this unfolding, this overlapping, and this unfolding, this spiraling, a beautiful dance of petals, if you would. And when I saw this a little while ago, I was remarking on a scripture. I'll use this scripture, just paraphrasing, when it talks about going from glory to glory, from glory to glory. Okay, set that on the table. I'm not trying to mess with your religious sensibilities, but glory to glory, right? Well, I'm gonna have to tap dance on what Fee had talked about, and she was talking about these different. She was talking about our soul, okay? You know, soul as in SOL, soul as in SOUL, and soul as in SOLE, okay? Those 3 aspects. That in a beautiful unfolding, we develop those 3 aspects of ourself. Now, what I brought in was lower, inner, and higher, and she was already there. We were on the same page as far as that was concerned. So, soul, SOLE, your feet, soul, SOUL, your inner, and soul, SOL, the sun, the higher, the light. Now, keeping that in mind, remember 2 petals or 3 petals, okay? When I saw this flower, I got to remarking on how we say crown of thorns, and many people may not know about the crown of thorns starfish, but they definitely know about the crown of thorns with Jesus in the biblical narrative. And therefore, when we see that crown of thorns, we instantly think of pain, pressure, judgment, uh, punishment, all these different things, all those negative things. But when I saw this crown of thorns flower, all of that went away. Okay? There's two sides of it, two petals, three petals. It's two sides of it. Okay? So we, like I said, because of the biblical narrative, we always think about the painful side. But in that discussion where we said that it never pierced his cranial, therefore never injuring his brain, then it's only surface deep. Let's just put it there. Okay. And by all means, it was superficial. But by all means, what if it was a flower? What if the crown of thorns? Just, entertain me for a minute. What if the crown of thorns, Euphorbia millis? What if the crown of thorns were actually flowers? And it wasn't any of that shit that we've been led to believe through these narratives. That's why I said Barron's narrative analysis, right? Because we want to analyze the narrative. And I got some other stuff that's not in the title because I didn't want to give it all away, okay? So, and I mean, I think about it now when we talk about, you start doing this stuff with, Jesus and them, they was running around in tunics and chiffon, this and that, and Roman, this, that, and the other, and Greek, this, that, and the other, yada, yada. And, even when we talk about somebody like Pontius Pilate, if you would, equating him to a Caesar, don't you see the green half halo, whatever they call that thing that they put on their head when they supposedly crown him and stuff like that? Okay, they crown him king and they put this green wreath on their head or some shit, right? But Jesus, they don't give us that. They give us the spiral of light, if you would, the rays of light behind his head, signifying a particular thing, light, zodiac, sun, these kind of things. But also the crown of thorns with the pain, the painful aspect of it, the suffering savior and all this stuff. But why are they suffering? Why? Let's move away from Jesus. Why are they suffering? Why are we suffering? Fee was saying something about, why. Now you know why it takes us 40 years. In our schools, it takes us 40 years to complete our schooling and stuff because we have to go back and evaluate and reevaluate things that we've heard because some people may know a thing but are not telling you a thing, okay? So I think I set this up pretty well because I want to show you a thing. Now, set all of that to the side and just remember what I told you in there. And let's move to another little idea, another little thing that popped up recently. I've been watching videos about court cases, right? And some of these a lot of these court cases have to do with this sovereign citizen stuff. And I watched one this evening or this morning that had to do with the license and the right to travel, okay? And I was looking at, what came back to mind was when we had this conversation. I think it was that same little conversation where I was serenading Root in the background on my little troll mission because he was trolling and I wasn't having it. That in that conversation, a longer conversation of that, we had discussed this right to travel. We had discussed it and looked at some court cases. If y'all remember in that little clip, if you saw the clip, he said, what other court case was you going to bring up, Navi? And I said, I can't find the reason, because I was singing reasons in the background. Well, he acted like I was bringing those court cases up. I was not. The brothers were. Okay. I was just there, you know, being interested in what they were presenting. And what we found out was that, in a nutshell, a lot of that right to travel shit was bullshit. Okay, let me take the long way around. That's a shortcut. That the right to travel meant that you could go from state to state. Okay, you can go from state to state. If y'all taking notes, make sure you write that down. You can go from state to state, which is governed by the federal. Okay, regulated by the state, but governed by the federal. Okay, because wouldn't it be a bitch for you to be in your towns? And you got to go back in history and think of who was in their towns and couldn't leave their towns. Couldn't get caught out on the highway. Couldn't go over the Allegheny Mountains and the like, in that whole go west young man. Okay. So the right to travel has to do with international travel. Oh, and Chicago versus the Chicago Motor Coach versus whatever that case is. Yeah, that got overturned. So these folks might want to stop using that. The one from 1929. But either way, I'm gonna try to work this out today. Okay. So it had to do with state to state, that you have a right to change states. Okay, to go from one state to another state. Now, going back to what Fundi was discussing yesterday and what I briefly mentioned about lower soul, inner soul, higher soul, you have a right to go from soul to soul to soul, or from glory to glory. Okay, in a beautiful spiraling dance of you, yourself, your being. Okay, can I give y'all the messed up part about this? It's the same thing outside of you. Remember how I said, or quoting Fundi, that the discussion with Fundi, that the crown of thorns never pierced his body, never pierced his brain. That's what's going on in law. Now, mind y'all, I'm not paying for my StreamYard. I'm actually still working right now, so I can't pull up anything. But I've listened to some people argue on this sovereign citizen stuff that has been presented to us. And you can add black nationalism, because they'll jump in there. You can add Indian, you can add what's the other one? More, because it all comes down that same black conscious community pipeline. And even when we talk about, most predominantly, when we talk about law, okay, law, okay, law, all right. Huh. Law is the crown of thorns that was placed on Jesus' head, because it was done in the hall of justice where law resides. Okay. So here you have all these tentacles as it is visually presented to us that damages our mind. Now, if you look at some of these arguments that regular citizens have that lean toward the sovereign citizen narrative, there are a lot of things that are damaging, but it's damaging because they're trying to put something that is outside of themselves inside themselves. This law, and I think Savage made this mention. He said that all that law came off of the customs and indigenous practices of the people that were here. It came off of nature. We were damaged by something very natural. And it's because we never understood, we didn't understand how they were transposing a very natural thing that happens with us and unfolding like that flower and overlapping a beautiful dance and spiral. And oh, I've seen a couple court proceedings that I'm sorry, I had to laugh. I had to laugh at them, and like I felt bad for them because it's like you can't hear it, as Fee says, but it's right there in front of you. Okay, unable to translate what's inside to what's outside. But here's the caveat here. You know, Jesus said that I'm not of this world. He said, if I was of this world, like could not I call legions down, angels, and all this other stuff? I said that, but it didn't work because what we're talking about was a natural process that had no place. It had no comparison in the world. Okay, they saw a light. Let me go to the red book. They saw a light, or should I say, they saw a demon in the wild and threw their lamps at it, their lights at it. Okay, they saw the beauty of our nature and decided to create something in the dark, in the exterior world. And that thing has caused us oppression because we don't speak that language, because we don't know those protocols, because in many aspects we don't even know ourselves. We think we do, but we sit up here and argue ourselves, our inner being, in a world that is diametrically opposed to our being. Okay, we think that we are we we're a God inside in the temple, but God in the world. Oh no, 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 no. No, 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 no. No. It's not translating well. Okay. Um, Let me see if I can grab a few points. Because I was trying to find this dude, and some of the points that I had from the court case some of the points are kind of escaping me right now. But let's see if we can pull this in. There was this brother, right? And the brother, he was in Colorado. He used to be in the military. He gave up his license in the 90s. He came from North Carolina. He said when he came from Iraq, he never had a license and all of this. And he said he didn't have any problems traveling without a license until he got to Colorado. And even though he didn't have a license in Colorado, he had got stopped so many times that points were assessed or added to his license, to the point that his license, if he get one, is suspended because it's got a long list of points attached to it for running around in violation of their regulatory state law, which they have a right to do. And in this, he was saying that I have a right to travel. You do. You have a right to travel. They can't stop you from going from state to state, but they can regulate you in the state. As beings, we have different states of being. As it was presented with Fundi's narrative that she was, or her live that she was talking about, we identified 3 states within us. The state of our soul, our feet, our physical, okay? The state of our inner self, like, this whole middle section of your torso, the inside of your being where all the organs are, if you would, and also your state of mind, your head, your light, okay? The seat of your Godhead, if you would, okay? Even in the Bible, it said, let this mind be in you that was in Christ Jesus. It didn't damage his soul. Soul above, soul within, soul below, okay? And this, okay? Y'all really got to go listen and read the chat to see what I'm really talking about when I talk about those 3 states of being. See, Fee did a post, and I don't mean to tell all her business, but if you go listen to it, you'll know. She talked about the 369. See, your feet is 3. In this narrative, it's your 3. Your inner is your 6. And your mind is your 9. Or should I say, your apprentice, your student, and your master. Your mind is your master. But if your mind has been damaged by narratives, by faulty thinking, by false fire, by things laying on the altar, like Aaron and them descendants, they laid some counterfeit on the altar. Okay? Yeah. Got their ass taken out. That's what we've been given. We've been given a false sacrifice. If you would say that we had to give the purest oil, this is not the oil that they gave us to light the temple. They barred us in our mind without damaging our mind. They barred us in our psyche that we cannot enter into the holies of holies because we're not those people. We're not that. We're not then. We're not a whole lot of stuff that we can't enter in, that we can't lay things upon the altar because they barred us from our own nature. And while barring us, they kept us out in the world of confusion, the world of chaos and lies and tricksters and supplanters out on the highways and byways of life to steal anything that they can from us because we didn't know our own nature. And it's our nature that is damaging to us because this aspect. Procedures, protocols, and arguments. The rules of procedure that they demonstrate in the courts. A lot of sovereign citizens don't even fucking know it while they say, I want to represent myself. That wasn't our arena. It wasn't even our fucking language. I mean, I heard Root last night and y'all can't listen to it. I was listening to it and it got turned off. He said something and never mind. He said something about what was your language and it was Latin and people spoke Latin. They spoke Latin in those halls, but not in these temples, if you understand what I'm saying. Okay. Mm. Much of what we hear in our lifetime, if not everything, comes from outside of us. So something I picked up on yesterday was all God's children have traveling shoes. Now, that meant something to me a long time ago, but as I grew up and got older and learned more, I didn't give a fuck if all God's children got traveling shoes. What does that have to do with the price of tea in China? But on yesterday, it became clear that we all have the right to stand, for one, and to travel in this aspect. I'm not talking about fighting with Pontius Pilate and hair running from Herod. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being stewards over this land. I'm talking about knowing the greatness that you are, the temple that you are. And I know I'm using cliche words here, but to know the beauty of who you are and how everything that you're looking for outside of yourself was inside yourself first. Y'all know the statement. If you looking for your God, look within. If you're looking for your devil, look within. Because everything they're doing without, they got from within. And we're out here arguing in a whole different arena. Okay? Stand. Soul. The soles of your feet. Now, mind you, when Fundi was talking about soul, and I was, you know, she was giving the definition of soul, SOLE, and the other ones as well. You guys should really go listen to that post. Later today, I will link it in my community section so you can, just in case you don't know who Master Fundi Fee is. But most of you should know if you've been around the conscious community. Okay? But S excuse me, SOLE, and how it relates to your feet. And one thing that I pulled out of there was that when you relate that to Jesus, and I'm just saying, that's replacement theology right there. What's in a name? That's replacement theology. But they took both of his feet and bound them with one nail, and they suspended them in animation. Hence, he didn't have the right to travel anymore. But he did. Never mind. You'll get that later if you don't already have it. So the outward illustration, the outward theatrics, the outward narrative is that you were suspended in animation. And that can be good or bad. I would like to say that you were protected and you were set aside, that you were a peculiar people. As Fundi say, when they came over here, they found us all barefoot because we were full of soul. Okay? Still full of soul. Yeah, that part. Okay. But in that, I was thinking on, like I said, that statement, all God's children has traveling shoes, meant something, then it didn't mean anything, and then it meant something again, because I remembered that what they said of the soles of our feet, um, everywhere I place my feet is ground to my reward, which is in the Old Testament, quoted in my poem, but also that they couldn't take Jesus' sandals off. What that means is that we have a protection and an anointing whether anybody else can see it, because it's innate. It's in our nature. Okay? You got, I'm going to go with trucking for a minute. I'm going to show you how the outer world plays with your inner being. Are foreigners. Because the old truck drivers, the real truck drivers, the ones that been in the game for a while, understand that when you go into them warehouses, you got to be professional. When you go into them or shipping and receiving offices, you got to be professional. When you go into them warehouses, you need to have closed-toe shoes and protected, because that's what you signed up for. But just like motherfuckers going to court going, I have a right to travel and I don't need a license and this, that, and the other, they don't understand the nature of the outer world. They still show up in flip-flops, Crocs, and sandals, even though it tells you you need to have on closed-toe shoes for your own protection. But our sandals are innate, okay? If you understand what I'm saying and who I'm talking to, okay? But they can't take it. They can't take your sandals off. And I'm only talking to a particular group of people. Just like Jesus said, I only came for the lost tribe of Israel. I'm only talking to a particular group of people. Okay? They can't take your sandals off. And it don't matter if they can see them or not. And it don't matter if you wear them outwardly or not. It's about your soul, your mission, your path in life. That's what the soul is representing here. Your solitude, who you are as an individual and how you stand in this world. And going back to Baron Pierre Bernard Millius Crown-of-Thorns, it's a beautiful spiral up to the next section of your life, your true right to travel. Okay? Now, if you're listening to Fundi's post, you know, we talked about the 369, and when we got to the six, the six. I just saw something with the 2 feet and 1 nail, because that's a 3, but never mind. That's 2 and 1. Never mind. That's 1 and 2. Never mind. I'm just saying that's never mind. Okay. But as you spiral up into your inner being in what they would illustrate in the biblical text as the holy place. See, that's the gate. You know, the gate, the feet, the gate, the feet, the gate, the feet, the hips, the gate, the feet, the walk. Okay. When you enter into that first abode, which is like your inner sanctum, not your innermost sanctum, but your inner sanctum, body wise, it's like your organs. Now, I said that's representative of the 6 when I was talking to feet, but I was sitting there, my mind was racing. I'm like, well, how many organs do we have inside? Because she mentioned organs, there's the soft organs, that's your soft spots, you know, your soft spots. And a lot of us are stuck in our soft spots. I don't feel like this and I don't feel like that. And I'm hungry and I love and I can't breathe. Yeah, I'm just saying, your soft spots. A lot of us are stuck right there. But how many organs do we have? I mean, how many systems inside do we have in that area? I mean, I did a precursor count on them, and I could be wrong. I got to go back and look, but you got lungs, and you get 2 of those. You got kidneys, and you got 2 of those. Um, you got a liver. You need that, right? Because that purifies some shit. That's 3. You got a heart. That's 4. Digestive system, that's 5. And a reproductive system, that's 6. I'm just saying, is that your 6 of your 369, your soft spots where a lot of us are stuck? Now watch this, watch this. I gotta go here for a second. I was thinking about that briefly. Just like you have a responsibility in your body, you have that same responsibility in this artificial outer world that is made off of the example of your body. Prove it to you. You got a body, right? You got a physical frame. Physical frame, right? And for you to do whatever you want to do in this life, you got to take care of that physical frame. So what do you have to do? You got to drink water. You can't get away from that. You got to eat food. You can't get away from that. Okay? And you got to breathe at the very minimum. You don't have to reproduce. Okay? You don't even have to love. But your heart has to beat. And for it to beat, you need to take care of your body. There's levels to this. I'm just saying. Okay? So here's the problem. The inner world compared to the outer world, and I might have to stop in a minute to switch some stuff around over here, but in the outer world, the brother that I was listening to was like quoting the law, what they say is the law in court cases. You can't take a right, we have an inherent right to travel, and you can't take a right and attach a fee to it. Y'all know how that goes, right? You can't attach a fee to it. Now, mind you, what was attached to his license was his failure to pay child support. Never mind. You'll get it later. Okay. But he was like, yeah, you can't make me. That's a contract. If I'm paying for a license, it's a contract. You're forcing me into a contract. No, you're taking care of the body. You're taking care of the fucking body, man. Okay. Imagine if we took the same mindset that we want to exhibit in the world and applied it to the body. You can't make me eat. You can't make me breathe. You can't make me drink water. I bet you're going to die if you don't do those 3 basic things. And what happens if you eat? You're going to excrete. That ain't in your control. That's just a part of nature. The processes are the same. They're just in different arenas. One is physical, natural, innate, and another one is artificial, exemplatory, and cross-reference. You're the first cross-reference to the world. But here's the problem. People's minds have been damaged because they didn't study themselves. They were wanting. I want to be a god. I want to be king. I want to be sovereign. I want to be the head nigga in charge. I want to be first. You've been weighed in the balance and have been found wanting. Because we know innately that when we take care of our inner being, it helps to supply our inner thinking, our mind. Okay? If you live in an environment, talking about the soul, going back down again, if you live in a healthy environment and you're at peace, you can eat right, you can think right, you can breathe right, you can live right. You hear what I'm saying? But if you're in a constant state of oppression and battle and um, what is it? Conflict, you never seat yourself in the mastership of your mind. You can dance around it all you want to, but you're going to be pierced by those thorns that have been placed in your narrative and in the world. Think about it. I want y'all know what the crown of thorns looks like on Jesus's head, but go look up the crown of thorns that was named after, attributed the flower. Because where are the thorns there? It's a beautiful bouquet and a beautiful dance of being, those petals unfolding. And that's what we do. We unfold. I'm trying to see who's in the chat. Oh, okay, okay, I think I see you, Casino. Okay. So the mind is that mastery. Now, this is where Fundi equates this to the number nine. The nine is the highest number in the number line. Okay, it's the highest number. Everything else repeats after that. And it's where you go into mastery. And guess what? No oaths are required for this shit. Okay? Because it's your temple, your being. You are that one that you seek after, and all of that. The world is just incidental in some aspects. Okay? It don't come nigh your dwelling. You know what I'm saying? Never, y'all might get it later. Um, but in that mastery, this is where what I was telling her, I said, well, this is where the 12 come in. We don't stop at the feet. We don't stop at the soul. We don't even stop at the soul of our inner being. We don't stop at the SOLE of our solitude. And we don't stop at the SOUL of our inner being. A lot of people do because everybody got to have a baby. Remember, you don't have to reproduce. You may want to, you may need to, you may just do it, but you don't have to. Okay? It's there if you choose to. Okay? Never mind. But we don't stop there. It's in the mind. Some people call it the kundalini rising and chakras and lights going off, and all this other stuff of our understanding and all of this. Okay? But hmm, your first seat is your mind. Your first seat. When you were being created, and I'm not a doctor and I didn't take anatomy, I did raise some babies and look at some shit, okay? But when you were first born, you started out as the seed of your mind and everything else developed around it, okay? And people don't even realize that when they talk about the 12 disciples, whether you're talking like zodiac, okay, clock, you know, 2-hour movements around the 24-hour period, whatever the fuck you're talking about, you're talking about the 12 cranial nerves that are protected by this cranium that we have. Um, who was talking about this? Damn, I'm trying to remember if it was Sir Drop or if it was Hawk School. I think it was Sir Drop talking about a particular bone that is like this jawbone, this high jawbone, that helps to protect your cranial nerves, that attaches to your senses outside in the outside world. This is where we experience our mastership. This is where we experience our godhood in the mind. And some of our minds are flawed because our narratives have been damaged outwardly and superficially. Okay? But let's talk about 12. I said 9 for mastery, right? Highest number. But then I said 12 cranial nerves. And another correlation that I saw was, well, if the organs are 6, why is the head 12? Because you have to handle, truck doing stupid shit, because you have to handle both your light side and your dark side. Remember I said whether it's good or evil in the world, it still came off of the nature that is in the being. So you have to handle your 12 summers. You have to handle your 12, how can I say this? Your 2 seasons, your spring and summer and your fall and your winter, your light side and your dark side. And I think that's why there's 12 up here. But if we don't balance that appropriately, we have trouble walking in balance and standing sure physically. Okay? That's what I think. But this dance that we have, this thing that we are, everybody talking about, well, you don't know what we are and what we are, not who we are. We are a beautiful unfolding of nature. Okay? And the sovereign citizen stuff has been an obstacle that it's seeing its last legs right now. It's really seeing its last legs. If you pay attention, it's seeing its last legs. See, in school, let me try this one, for example. In school, we would study and we would take our tests, and then our answers would be evaluated against a key, the answer key. Many of us have been led to believe that the answer key is outside of ourselves, when in actuality, we are the key. Okay? And I felt bad. Let me go here. I felt bad listening to people who were trying to argue this sovereign citizen stuff, okay, in court, and were not studied in the rules of law, the rules of adjudication, the rules of the state. Are we, on the other side, are we versed in the rules of our state of being? Or do we lie about that? Do we make concessions? Do we ignore things? Because you got brothers, excuse my language, brothers. You got brothers running around here trying to dress and act like women. Are you sure? We know the rules. of the being? We just make them up as we go. Okay? That was just one example. Do we know the rules? I watched the sovereign citizens not know the little special rules that go along with adjudicating the matter. I mean, not even adjudicating the matter. Okay? I watched a couple of them argue with the judge. Argue with the judge when they were supposed to be questioning the person on the stand. This says that they were trying to live in 2 states at the same time. I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm tripping. I'm like, I do these concepts when they come in. That's why we don't have a big presentation as far as this is concerned, because if I wait until I have time to do it, I be done forgot most of the shit that I wanted to say. But it's the same thing in these sovereign citizen courts. They don't understand the rules of engagement. Okay? And at what stage, what state. Okay? I sat there and listened, and mind you, I would fall for the same shit because I'm not of that world. But to show you how we fall for that state, listen to your own debates, your own discussions that you're having online. And it's I'm listening to this and thinking about you guys, and I'm like, wow, we don't even hold to a standard. Give you a standard. They got to put in a motion, right? Okay. You got to put in some paperwork and serve some people. Okay. Um, and I'll see if I can catch this little nuance right here that I'm thinking about right now. So you were there at the event that got you a ticket, right? That got you in court. And you know all the shit that happened, and you don't like what happened, and it was unfair, and this, that, and the other, and now you're going to represent yourself in court. But you're so closely related to it that you can't objectively look at it. So instead of realizing what I need to question this person on, you start giving narratives about how you felt and what happened and what they said and this, that, and the other. And that ain't even the venue that you're in at that particular time. That's not the stage that you're in at that particular time. I don't know if I can, oh God, it's clear, but I'm not being able to articulate this correctly. You haven't, how can I say this? These people will go in here and say that they don't plead or they don't submit to the jurisdiction, but they don't plead, okay? They're not here to plead. They're here by special, all that bullshit, okay? That wordy shit. They're not going to plead, but yet they're going to represent themselves. But rather than find the law, and like I said, one of them laws that people have been quoting has been overturned. Chicago Motor Coach, whatever, 1929, overturned. Okay. They don't even know how to present, from what I saw, present the proper questions to the person on the witness stand, to discount, to find that legal loophole in it, in what they're saying, because it's not there. In a lot of them that I've seen, it wasn't even there. Okay. And Let me see if I can figure out. I'm thinking of one, and I'm trying to remember the nuance in this. Okay, there was this one case, and it might not have been a sovereign citizen case, but and it wasn't a sovereign citizen case. It was this. Something happened. Uh, a police officer did not treat a citizen correctly. Okay. And you know how it goes. They say, oh, it was within department policy for us to do this. It was, in our policy, and the state don't say anything against it. The city, nobody's speaking against it, this, that, and the other, right? And they knew it was wrong. I knew it was wrong. Anybody watching knew it was wrong. But the police had a legal standing to stand on, okay? But they did the citizen wrong. Now, the citizen ended up suing them. And if the citizen would have just sued them on, you did this, you did that, you did this, and it was against me and it shouldn't have happened, that's how you feel. That's what you think. But where's the legal basis? It was the attorney that realized that the questioning of the witness had to be according to this other law that was out there that proved that the department condoned that type of behavior, because the citizen was going to sue the officer in a private and public capacity and all of this shit. And they were trying to get away from that because it's like this. The department let the officers sit out there to take the brunt of it as a witness, because the officer was the shield for the government agency. Okay? Because I think the government agency, a police agency, if you would, didn't think that anyone would be able to attach them and make them responsible for the officers as it being a matter of policy that is condoned. So the attorney was questioning the officer in order to look at that motherfucker behind the officer, which was the department. When we sit, and from what I noticed, because I haven't done this myself, I saw something. I saw the writing on the wall, and I said, how much is the fine? Okay. But anyway, in these sovereign citizen cases, they never see the boogeyman behind the officer. They don't find the legal precedent behind the officer that they're looking at, because in some aspects, it doesn't exist. The state has a right to regulate. The federal government have given you access to travel from state to state, okay? And mastery, third level, would be international, because you're talking intrastate, interstate, and then international. See, Byron Pierre Bernard Millius was a naval commander that was traveling internationally. He had the right to travel. That's how he got over there to Reunion, and that's how he got to Madagascar, because he was French. Okay. Either way, I was like, what y'all saying? I don't have my glasses on. I can't read the chat. See, those are three states of being, just like the soul, and the soul. Intra, inter, and international. Okay, intrastate, interstate, and international. Those are three states. Just like you have three states. The soul, the SOLE, your feet, where you walk, where you stand. The SOUL, your innermost being. That's your international. Yeah, you have a right to go and get food. You have a right to do this, but don't forget that your feet are regulated. that you still have to walk in honor. But those folks, Moors and otherwise, that were talking about, yeah, I'm in the court to be honorable. If you stand in you honorable, because imagine this, imagine this. You're born. Let me, something, I don't know if it's gonna come all the way out, but imagine you're born and you go through this process of life where you crawl and then you walk, and then just imagine that nothing's physically wrong with you, but you just decide, I'm never gonna walk. I'm just never going to get up and use these feet to walk. I want everyone to carry me. Okay? I'm never going to use my own power of individuality, my own power of Godship, stewardship, any of this, even though I'm of age. Even though there's nothing physically wrong with me, I'm going to be handicapped for the rest of my life. I'm going to refuse to walk. Imagine the second step, because, we got people that ain't never been out of their state to a certain extent, neighborhood state, whatever, okay, never changed mindsets or anything. Imagine if you just said, I'm not going to eat. Ain't nothing physically wrong with you. Your esophagus work, your lips work, your stomach work, your intestines work, all this stuff works. But you decide, I'm never going to eat. What's going to happen to you? Dead man walking. You're going to die. And from the attack of not understanding ourselves, that's what some of us do. Oh, we still eating, we still walking, but we might as well be dead because we have not learned to go from state to state and to master the state of being that we are. Okay? To sit in godhood and think, because we see it online. Let me go back here. We see it online. They arguing at every point. Everything ain't a fucking argument. Bringing up a primary, I'm sorry, let me take you to the sovereign case. Prosecution, different case, brought up the paper that said, this is the car, or this is the man, or this is the license, this is the, okay, this is the, it's signed and it's served. This is the primary. The defendant over here talking about, well, y'all trying to get child support out of me and this, that, and the other, and y'all got to, and that ain't got nothing to do with the primary. He's already arguing something that wasn't presented for that reason. We arguing the wrong shit. He arguing the wrong shit. And everything at every stage was an argument. And what he never did was present his own primary. What could he present? Because as the lady told him, as the judge told him, your argument is flawed. He thought because he heard about Chicago versus Motor Coach, some shit, 1929, that one case out of three that he cited had standing. The prosecution helped him out later on and brought it up and told him, they mentioned it, that it had got overturned, and then they showed him for his edification, and he didn't have to do that. The prosecution didn't even have to do that, but that one dude did. But did the brother pick up on it? No, he's still arguing, trying to argue with the judge. Of course he lost his case, okay? Of course he got to do the same damn thing with his feet that he was going to have to do before. Go down there to the driver's license place and find out how many points he got assessed against him, or either leave Colorado because it ain't for him, okay? But he swear up and down they did him unfairly. Y'all got to see that case. I'm gonna put that on my post. Maybe y'all come back and look at it and just analyze how that went, okay? Valahara from back in the day, the lady with the white suit on and a purple shirt talking about they always leave you a window. And when they give you a window, you got to be able to see it. Yeah, the window is you can get an attorney. That's one of the windows that I saw in there. Like this one, it was this one. And mind you, all of them wasn't brothers and sisters. It was, different nationalities and stuff. Okay. White, black, whatever, whatever. Male, female, whatever, whatever. Well, the one, she had three things against her. I can't remember what the first one was. The second one was a felony. And the third one, I think, had to do something with driving or something like that. And the prosecution, even though she wanted to represent herself, defend her own case. But she was so busy trying to read what she wrote that she wasn't paying attention because she didn't know the rules of engagement here. Because the biggest mistake they all make is this is a court of equity and civil when it's criminal. And they're arguing equity. I've taken hold of my own person. Have you really? I'm just saying. But they made the same mistake because they heard these wayward ass folks over here whispering in their ears some stuff that they hadn't studied. And I mean studied to the point of not hearsay. Study to the point of I literally went and studied law. Because you can hear it. It's like this is the pretrial phase of this. This is the discovery phase of this. This is the testimony or this is the trial itself right here. Okay. This is where the ruling comes in and no testimony is allowed. No argument is allowed. Each one of those stages had their own rules governing it. And we, as a particular people, not as a peculiar people, as a particular people, have not learned to separate those and to stay where we need to stay in it. We walking up and down the temple because we Satan. And God called everybody together, called all his angels together and stuff like that. And Satan was among them, and he walked up and down between the flames, all up in your temple. One part you're talking about where you stand, the other part you're talking about who you are, the next part you're talking about what you think. Bitch, where you stand? What did you eat? You know what I'm saying? What got us here? What extruded from it? What was the common denominator in it? Shouldn't we learn all of that in the middle section of our being? That if I put this in and this in, this is going to happen and this is what's going to be left. And we can't even figure that shit out. I'm just saying. It's some shit I saw. Okay? But like I said earlier, the crown of thorns starfish, that sucker came and invaded the coral reef when there was the overproduction of sugar. Sugar is a drug. Okay? It's a whole lot of sugar shit going on. You know what I'm saying? It's the overproduction. Overproduction. Because y'all don't want the bitters. The bitters is, I got to take the time to study. And I guess this is what I wanted to say in relationship to the outside part of this. That there used to be a time, like, I got two things to say. One is about language. Root talking that we was in, it was Latin, and y'all don't have no language as indigenous people. And well, what happened to the fact that we spoke several languages in times past? Not just Latin or nothing, but several languages. We don't want the bitters. We want people to tell us what it is or argue with them about what it ain't for hours at every stage of the game, but not give the proper pushback because they fast talking your ass because they're arguing in discovery. If you understand what I'm saying, okay? They don't know what they really want. They're just here to argue and have a presence because somebody told them they could, they would, they should. These coulda, woulda, woulda, shoulda niggas. Anyway, my bad. Talking shit. Um, and the second one, okay, that was language. The second one is there was a time when we studied law. Now we make it like it's a rare thing. Oh, just some little brothers and sisters in the 1800s went to go study law at a school. Well, wasn't that all presented through Hollywood narratives? Okay, hearsay. Did you ever go check and see which ones went to law school? How many went to law school? I'm just saying, there should be a place where we do what's bitter. Before you go running up in there acting like you done learned some stuff from some internet shit and some wayward ass folks, excuse my language. Sit down and go get your challenges and get your grade to learn law. Because I'm not going to say I can do it because I sit up here and I know my own flaw. Okay? I know my own flaw. And I'm seeing other folks' flaw too. Let me give you one. This one was funny. Let me give you this one. I'm going to put 3 people on the stage. Savage. Shit. Abby Do. Damn, who was that other person that was up there? Rod Will. Those 3 people on the stage. If you go back to Smoke's thing, his live stream, not the last one, the one before, and you listen to them near the end of the stream. Now, mind you, when I woke up, because I heard this in my sleep, I listen to y'all, as I'm going to sleep. Sometimes, because I didn't last night. I woke up, anyway, never mind. And sometimes y'all wake me up out of my sleep, and I wake up cussing y'all out. So that day, with these 3 people on the stage, I woke up and said, go to bed. And I meant go to bed, okay? Because it was some stupid shit that woke me up out of my sleep. Like, what the fuck is this? It made no sense. Y'all be fucking up my dreams and nightmares and stuff. But there's a section in there, and you can play up to it, but it's a section in there that when they were talking about 1800s, 1600s, 1600 and something, the 1700s, the 1800 and something, the 1900s, okay? And I listened to these 3 people screw up the fucking timeline just accidentally. See, I think the last one was Abby Do did say the wrong date, and Savage jumped on it quickly, and then Abby questioned what she said. But Abby was just like some of these people in the sovereign, in the courts, that every little thing that's said, they jump on every little word. And the next thing you know, they all over the place. Okay, I was listening to that. I was like, oh, these, look at the pretty butterfly motherfuckers. Because, they don't leave the main thing. The main thing, homeboy, Rod Will said something about homosexuality. And Abby got in her feelings to a certain extent and went to homosexuality. Hey, I thought y'all was talking about who was in slavery in the 1600s and who this pertained to and what jurisdictions in the 16 and 1800s. Why y'all talking about homosexuality? Look at the pretty butterfly ass niggas, okay? But if you go to that part, you can see the missteps and mistakes that we make. And so just listening, I'm literally trying to find the person. Not that I have anything to give, anything to offer, or any of that stuff, but just in my mind, I want to satisfy something in my mind. I want to see the person that I think can handle a good court case because they understand the different stages. Okay. See, one of those stages, I'll give it to Dulcie. Primary. You remember everybody running around here talking about what a primary is? Savage is talking about a primary now. Dulcie was talking about a primary. I think Lucky might have been talking about a primary. I think Not a Coincidence was arguing that that ain't no damn primary. But this conversation about primary was in the beginning stages of a court case. Okay? But before they ain't even satisfied what the fuck the primary is, and now they over here arguing and judging like they who's the judge? I think they said it like this in the Great Debater. God is the judge. Who is my opponent? He does not exist. Why does he not exist? Because he is only a figment. He is only a part of the imagination. Some shit. I can't remember the statement. But from the Great Debaters, okay? And I'm looking here like, y'all ain't got it. Go back to the drawing board. We say, again, it's legalese. And y'all do the word semantics, but literally have not separated understanding the two languages because you merge your natural language in your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions in with an area where it shouldn't even enter in. See, you don't really enter in there because you're already in here. You're in yourself. You know, you don't enter in over there. But anyway, these are just some thoughts that I was thinking about. I got to pull over. I know I do. Hold on a second, you guys. Let me take a quick peek at something. Yeah, shit. Okay, yeah, I fucked that up. I was supposed to check it before I checked it, but I didn't check it. So now we got to check it. It is wrong. Okay. But anyway, I hope y'all see what I'm saying. They've used names. They've given us clues. We have examples, and it's based off nature. Everybody like it's hard. It's this. It's that. Yeah, their life for grown folks is gonna be a challenge. But at the same time, everything ain't the crown of thorns they put on Jesus's head. Some of it is the crown of thorns that grows naturally. That's fragrant. That's beautiful, that's unfolding, that's showing you from glory to glory, from glory to glory to glory, to the mind that's in you. Okay? What these things of who we are really are. Okay? Because we take them for granted and then want everybody else to treat us special and praise us for being male or female or black or white or Mexican or tall or short or fat or whatever the outward appearance is. That ain't what this shit is for. It's a lesson in it. I'm gonna have to peep at y'all comments before I get off of here, okay? But I see a 100 in there. I can see that much. The screen small as hell over there. See some laughy faces and stuff, but I can't read it right now. Yeah, I had to give me a second to pull over and do a quick little read. Um, but yeah, if y'all know who Master Fundi Fee is, just go look it up. Master Fundi Fee, MasterFundiFe, and look at her last post because she's talking about the rituals that they're doing right now, and we don't even realize we are the counter, and we have a counter to those rituals. But if you think it's just entertainment, enjoy your rabbit hole. hmm Just like people going to court, ill prepared, yeah, with no protection, no cloak, no understanding, all that shit. Yeah, just like they go in and then they go serve some time. They eventually come out the dungeon. But oh, let me tell you about the woman. The woman, I forgot about that. The woman who she had 3 things pending against her, and they leave you a window. The prosecution said he would drop two of them, and they was telling how many years. I think it was 2 years for the second one, or 5 years for the second one, and then it was like maybe up to 2 years for the one that he wasn't gonna drop. And prosecution said, no, they're willing to, plead this to this and this. I think one might have been a assault or resisting arrest, some shit, a couple things in there. But one was get him like 5 years. I get her like 5 years, and she was so busy reading what she wrote as far as challenging the jurisdiction of the court and equity and civic when she was talking about criminal, didn't even apply, that she missed her window and still was like, I still want to represent myself. And everybody's sitting there going, bitch, they just gave you a way out. Okay? See, some of us don't think that fast. And I put myself there too. Because if she would have been paying attention and been well versed, she would have pivoted and did a stop step and shot the ball and hoped that while she was adjudicating the one charge that was left, they put her on probation or simply make her pay a fine and no jail time at all. But she missed that whole fucking opportunity for wanting to represent herself. It was right there in front of her. Missed it. Even when they questioned these people, it was a sister. Oh God, she was so embarrassing. But even when they questioned whether or not they have the capacity to represent themselves, adjudicate their own matter, and it comes down to it, and the judge and everybody else is looking, going, you can't do this. They don't catch it because they're emotionally attached to the narrative. I am somebody. Somebody, anybody, or just a body. They about to take your body. Okay? No, we're a being. All right? Experiencing this in all of its facets. And I'm wondering if I'm going to find any more thorns around here. Let's see what the next one that pop up. I'm going to have to do some looking. And then I'm also going to have to see where Pierre Bourbon came from. Pierre Millius came from. Because it has to do with bourbon. Like, French territory over here. They Marquis de Bourbon, de Baton Rouge. Oh, did y'all hear me say that? Uh-huh. So what were they trying to tell us in that? Shall a rose grow out of concrete? I don't know. But anyway, I got to pull over somewhere. But I appreciate y'all being in here. It took a minute. I know it ain't too many people in here. But yeah, check out Master Fundi Face. She in that shit. She in there. Okay. May Navi come out and go, because she told me something about Moses or Enoch, no, Noah from the book of Noah that I never heard before. Change the paradigm. Change the paradigm real well. Okay. But in all these years, no one's ever brought that part out to push back on Jacob. Okay. But y'all keep on representing yourself out there. Hope y'all get well versed on some stuff and able to stand and not fall for the bullshit that Root Words does, because he does it regularly and often. Okay? If he was in a court of law, it would have been badgering the fucking witness, the plaintiff, the defendant, the judge, the whomever, because he badgers the fuck out of y'all and they claim like he won some shit. Okay. Milestones, he badgered your ass yesterday. I'm just gonna tell you. Up to the part that I saw. Okay, because it went off and got blocked and can't see it no more. Okay. But while I'm looking for a place to park is coming up or to stop, uh, I I wasn't listening to y'all asses. I woke up at a particular time, checked the clock, plugged my phone in, charged my phone, whatever, and ended up turning on the stream and listening to it. Went back to sleep. I woke up out of a dead sleep. And what did I say? I typed in all capital letters, go somewhere with that bullshit. I don't know. I think that's what it came out my what I typed. But the funny part of it is that just yesterday, a day before, I literally was sitting up here thinking about Morpheus, and that nigga showed up. He showed the fuck up. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. How'd that work? All right, do we have any gaps that I could use? Ooh, get off this curb. Oh, I need a gap, y'all. This ain't anybody behind me. You found a gap. Let me see. Come on, y'all. I need somewhere to pull over. Stop playing with me. Get out the way. Oh yeah, we're gonna take this handicap one. Just for a second. Okay. All right. I gotta mute my mic for a minute, you guys. Sister gotta take care of something. And y'all don't need to be here. Where's my dog? 7? Where the fuck are you at? Oh, okay, up there. Hold on, y'all. Sorry, y'all. 7 tried to kill me. She done messed the rug all up. And I'm falling around back here and stuff. Let me find my glasses so I can see what y'all saying or what y'all done said. And then I gotta get out of here and get back moving. You know, I ain't no master yet. Okay? I'm a student teacher. I'm still working on myself here. But for anybody who comes through here, serious note on this tip. Where are my glasses? Serious tip. We have a new grandbaby. And everybody is fine. So not sure if everybody quote unquote lifted us up in prayer, held us up and all that stuff. For those who did, send positive energy and stuff, I thank you. Okay, so Casino said everything is nature and natural because it comes back to your moral compass. Yeah, it's more than that. Most definitely. Okay. Big facts. I get it. Facts, real shit. Wow, that's deep. Okay. Top of the top. Salute, Navi. Okay, I got you. Got you. Did I miss anybody in here? I know it's kind of early. Okay. Yeah. Oh, damn it. Hope y'all fell in the dog food. Okay. Whew. Let's stop moving so fast. But yeah, we got a new baby girl, uh, 8 pounds, 1 ounce, 19 inches long. Uh, from what I hear, she came out like my son came out, thinking that that shit was a slip and slide. Okay. Bitch, I'm out of here. uh, so I'm getting ready. I'm on my way back to see her, to see my grandbaby and hold my grandbaby, and see my daughter. So, because for those of you who don't know, she had a premonition and I had an event, and we were along the same lines that something could happen and I might lose my daughter or my grandchild or both. And so I was very worried, very worried. And she made it. I mean, up to the last minute, she had a fractured pelvis when she gave birth. So even up to the last fucking minute, I was still concerned. Okay. But everybody's here. Everybody's fine. Yay. Okay. So, um, I don't know if I have. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know if I have anything else on this. I hope y'all gathered. If you didn't quite understand it, go back, play it again, ponder over it. It's an analysis I don't do like everybody else do or does. So sometimes, you might catch me talking backwards, okay? But that's my right to talk backwards, okay? Anyway, um, but look at some of those things that I said and consider how they relate, okay? Queen Ranavalava, trial by ordeal, Madagascar, Isle of Reunion, Baron Pierre Bernard um, Millius, or Mullis, if you would. Um, Euphorbia millis, also known as the crown of thorns flower, that is not full of thorns, but a beautiful unfolding, spiraling petal or petals, the same way that we unfold and spiral. Um, Look at how the outer world may demonstrate to you an inner reality, and understand that you, unlike the world, have the ability to master yourself. Okay? They may be masters of one thing, but you definitely are supposed to be the master of yourself and this world that we live in. Is somebody behind me? Okay. All right. So some stuff in there. And watch the sirens. Watch that siren shit, y'all. I'm telling y'all, the sovereign citizens, black, white, male, female, getting their asses handed to them because it was a bunch of bullshit and an obstacle that was put there. Okay, this is one of them things you supposed to understand it and get past. Sorry, you weren't supposed to eat it. Okay, yeah. But fam, I'm gonna get off of here. I got some work to do. Uh, we're gonna be a little bit late, but we've been pushing, trying to get on over here, get this heavy ass load delivered. And lastly, I still know that I owe y'all some readings from the history of Ireland. I need to finish up that one chapter we were reading and then go into blood sacrifice, which is the next chapter, which is a longer chapter. I think I can just about do that now. Um, After the baby situation, I got one more big move that I have to do, something pressing that I have to do. So in the midst of that, we're gonna try to get that other reading. So know that that's coming. But I just wanted to do this little sidebar right here for y'all to consider this. Go check out Fundi. Go check out what Fundi said because we getting ready. I think we getting ready to pull some shit out because you know, some folks ain't got nothing new to talk about and they tired of fucking with the same old people. That's why they over on TikTok. Yeah, that part. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. This your girl Navi. I'm out of here. Remember what you are. You go from glory to glory, soul, soul, and soul. That's you. Make it count. Peace, family.